I always see individuals on this forum who believe dating is a waste, discussing how being single provides them with ample time to focus on their projects. So what projects are you working on exactly? Story 1. I have some small jobs around the house and a few fitness and travel goals I would like to achieve. As an introvert, when I am not on dad duty, I enjoy quiet nights to myself more than spending time with someone else. Story 2. Getting ready for a year-long trip around the world, working out 5 times per week, cooking as many meals at home as possible for nutrition and budgeting, learning Spanish, taking salsa lessons every week. These are the main activities along with the usual random chores. Story 3. I am constructing a robot wife. I am not a very good engineer, so she currently has tracks for legs, and I couldn't find any suitable materials as a skin substitute, so I use steel. Her head is a bit big and can only turn in a circle, not up and down. I am building a tank. Story 4. Self-development involves unlearning misconceptions and rediscovering my true self. I realized that the 15-year-old version of me had a clear understanding of my core identity. I am making music, going to the gym, and socializing after years of isolation during my 20s. I have relapsed from smoking cannabis and have become more mindful of my appearance, including fashion and skincare. I am also working on my mother's house and have secured a stable job. I enjoy traveling and learning new things, even if they seem basic. While I once felt ahead, I now feel like I am falling behind. I am addressing my trust issues and making efforts to improve. I participate in boxing, need to reduce my sugar intake, and aim to drink more water. Story 5. Rock and gold prospecting, metal detecting, welding, woodworking, materials upcycling and fabrication, inventions and tool making, metals recycling and refining. I have many projects that I don't have time for. I have 2 women who take up a good majority of my time, my daughter and my mother. I would like to have a significant other, but that requires more time commitments and the potential to share or relinquish control of my workspace and time. I don't have the time for that. I enjoy going out and casually having fun with the potential to meet someone special, but I don't dedicate any time or energy to that topic, and I definitely don't stress about trying to meet women when I am out. In fact, I feel oddly offended when women think I am trying to approach them simply because we share the same space. Here are a couple of recent interactions that illustrate my point. At a gas station while waiting in line, there was a young woman in front of me who spilled red soda on the floor that everyone was avoiding. She was distracted while texting. I tried to get her attention to let her know she was next in line. She looked back with a disapproving expression, stated she was married and not interested, then walked through the soda puddle in her new white sneakers and was angry at me for hitting on her and causing her to not pay attention to where she was going. I was simply trying to inform her that she was next, not make an advance. The second instance occurred at a local library that had a museum exhibit from a local historical society. I was reading a display about the production of Native American dyes in the southwestern United States and how Victorian-era clothing was made with these dyes to achieve certain color patterns. Standing next to me were a woman and her apparent boyfriend. After I finished reading the large display, I switched places with the couple so they could read while I viewed the clothing. As we passed, I commented on how beautiful the clothing was and how interesting the exhibit was. The woman gave me a strange look, then whispered something to her boyfriend. He approached me and asked why I was trying to talk to her about the clothing. I responded that we were both at the same exhibit and found it interesting. I would have said the same to him had he been the first to approach, but it was his girlfriend. It may sound odd, but there are plenty of straight men who enjoy educational experiences and communicating with others without any predatory intentions just because they happen to share a space. Story 6. Well, I'm definitely one of them. Project 1 is me. I want my mental health to be as stable as possible. I'm in therapy and a mental health program for my own benefit. Second is that I'm a homeowner. Owning a home means repairs, improvements, and maintenance. It's almost never ending. Third are my hot rods. I love cars and have a fleet of them. I do restorations in my garage and handle all work in-house. I do not outsource my work. Fourth would be my jet skis. I have several and love to take them out. They are in various states of performance. ranging from extremely fast to stock. They require work and maintenance as well. Fifth is that I am a metal fabricator as a side hustle. I have a machine shop in my garage. The machines and materials require maintenance and upkeep. When I am asked to build something for someone, it requires significant design, engineering, and planning to ensure it is both safe and aesthetically pleasing. Additionally, I have a young daughter and an aging immediate family. I enjoy car shows and surfing. I also have an extensive vinyl record collection that I thoroughly enjoy. When considering all of these commitments, where is there time for dating? Let alone for someone who wants to pick fights, cheat, lie, or steal. I surely don't know. I like doing things that make me happy and make me smile. At this point, dating is not one of those things. Story 7. I am learning Japanese, music, Photoshop, and studying piano and cooking. Someday, I plan to learn how to draw and may return to information technology, specifically in machine learning. When I am more financially stable, I will fix my bike, get a dog and a cat, and take them to the park. Story 8. When I was single and not dating, I focused on getting fit, became an amateur runner, earned 2 postgraduate degrees, and started a company, all while being a partner at a large law firm. I would say that being single and not pursuing a relationship provides ample time to invest in yourself. Story 9. I build furniture, go on solo wilderness backpacking trips, and take pictures and videos with my drone. I am learning piano and studying for my Computing Technology Industry Association certifications for a career move. The legal industry is becoming less appealing. Story 10. The project is taking shape, and I am focusing on self-improvement. I am also trying to be a positive father figure for my nephew, who does not have parents. Story 11. Studying for information technology certifications, exploring programming languages, testing PowerShell scripts, brainstorming small business ideas for future use, and reading various materials from books about emotional intelligence to The Lord of the Rings, crime scene forensics, cybersecurity, and the Bible. I watch medical and nutritional podcasts, adjusting my diet and routines to find the optimal version of myself, while also searching for cooking recipes and instructional cooking videos. If you had asked the 18-year-old me about the difference between baking and broiling, which rack in the oven is used for what, or whether to use aluminum foil, wax paper, or parchment paper, I would have had no idea. This is in addition to a full-time job and managing repairs for my car or myself. Never ends. That's why when people mention topics like dating, I find it hard to engage. Listening to someone I met online talk about their struggles with life, gender issues, and then looking down on me for not having a college degree, despite the reality that they earn half of what I do, have a substantial student loan payment, and little future earning potential while expecting me to cover the bill at a loud, mediocre restaurant is perplexing. I simply blink once, turn around, and walk away. And that's assuming she even shows up, that I wasn't misled by a fake profile, that she is not dealing with significant personal issues, and that I make it to a second date only to learn that many men in the region are already well acquainted with her. Considering the high rates of sexually transmitted diseases among women, the trend of documenting every life event, and the issue of false allegations in our legal system, I'll pass. Thank you for asking. Story 12. I do art, animation, language learning, and wood carving, and I aim to do more. I like to keep busy. Story 13. For me, it's been rediscovering an old passion of mine. Physics. I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in 2013, but never really did anything with it. Instead, I pursued software engineering and quantitative work. In 2021, I took my first vacation in a long time, and the time away from the grind made me realize I missed math and physics. Now, I study them in my free time after work, a little each night. Last night, I began integrating these subjects into my skill set by writing a geodesic raycaster. Additionally, I have been running a Dungeons & Dragons game for 6 years, which met bi-weekly. I say met because we had the finale earlier this month, so I'm enjoying a well-deserved break from that. I'm hoping to get my driver's license since I never needed one living in a big city, allowing me to go hiking and camping more often. This is a significant goal for me over the next few years. I want to embark on multi-day hikes and camping trips in the wilderness. Of course, there are other plans like solo travel and fitness. I will be going to Southeast Asia in July, which may not be ideal weather-wise, but I have another reason to be there besides vacation, a wedding. Story 14. Not what I do anymore, but during my graduate school years, I focused on going to the gym 3 to 4 times a week, practicing instruments, playing sports, and even learning a bit about investing. When it came time for dating, all of these activities provided potential topics to relate to or chat about. Story 15. I'm not single anymore, but when I was focusing on personal growth, I spent more time preparing meals, watching what I ate, working out, and cultivating my friendships. I also played a lot of video games. Story 16. Working out, tending to a rose garden, arranging flowers, knitting, building model kits, or simply relaxing while playing video games can all be enjoyable activities. I have stepped back from the dating and relationship scene. I am not actively seeking a new relationship, but I am open to possibilities if they arise naturally. I have also observed my brothers being cheated on by their ex-wives while they worked hard to support their families and children, as their wives desired to be stay-at-home moms. Story 17. Sleep, YouTube, League of Legends, and the gym. People often approach self-improvement and productivity all wrong. It's time to embrace being lazy and unproductive. Waking up at 2 p.m. on a Saturday, watching 10 hours of YouTube videos, sending quirky Instagram reels to friends, and going to the gym at midnight. Why not? There's no rush to get home and relax. Story 18. I enjoy my motorcycle and my project truck, as well as hobbies like building and shooting guns, activities that many women might disapprove of. I appreciate the freedom to pick up and go wherever I want, whenever I want, without being asked numerous questions. Story 19. I spent too many of my early years on one girl, making her a pillar of my existence. When I became ill, she left to have more time to party. Now, I work on becoming self-sufficient, being my own atlas and carrying my world. Story 20. Well, someone texted me a week ago to get coffee after I saw her a year and a half ago. We went for brunch one day, watched Netflix a couple of days later, and then she told me she wasn't interested in a relationship after I asked if she wanted to make plans for the long weekend. Feeling a little used, I am back to not putting effort into dating. My projects include 1. Bathroom renovation 90% done. Rec room renovation needs mud and paint. Bedroom renovation in the planning phase. I just bought a boat. Kitchen renovation, assessing scope creep situation. Arctic entrance addition. Rental suite. Garden. Greenhouse. 10. Snowmobile. 11. Kid activities. 12. Fishing. 13. Dog. Story 21. My career, my mental health, my emotional intelligence. I am also working on completely rewriting the Legend of Korra series. Story 22. I didn't know how relevant my contribution would be here, but my divorce finalizes on June 24th, and slowly but surely I'll be moving into my own place. Financially, I'll be well off, as I have a steady job that I excel in and the potential to earn more. I consider myself a rare individual as I have no debt, the children are hers, I have none biologically, and I will be completely independent. I am a man in my 40s without children, not married, well-educated, well-read, articulate, bilingual, and financially above average. I possess a quick wit and perhaps a dark sense of humor, but I am sociable. What do I plan to do? Well, I guess I will follow my dream. I am going to write. Story 23. I don't know. I'm just trying to survive. It's hard enough to live my own life. Why would I want to ruin someone else's? Story 24. Not much these days. I have completed most of the projects I was interested in. Right now, I am just trying to enjoy the summer and fall, as I do not know what will happen after that. Story 25. How do you not have projects? Dating and starting a family have significantly impacted my projects. My life was fully occupied with work and projects, but now my projects are behind because I have started living and engaging in other activities. Story 26. I am working on proxies and altering cards I have for my Magic, the Gathering Cube. I also plan to build a storage container for it and enhance that as well. Additionally, I plan to do some work on an old guitar that has been hanging on the wall for years. Story 27. I wouldn't call them projects. They feel more like hobbies. I am writing a science fiction trilogy set in a gender-segregated, post-artificial intelligence companion world, capturing the same sunrise and sunset repeatedly. I indulge in fixations such as Dungeons and Dragons, rocket science, or soccer tactics. I also pursue personal ambitions like being able to do a pull-up or cooking the perfect steak, only to ruin all meat for myself for the rest of my life. Story 28. I have accomplished everything I wanted to do so far and paid off all my debts. While doing that, I am working on an application, recording a piano and cello album, and planning a trip for when the results arrive. Story 29. I developed software for the energy industry. I have secured my first client trial and am making modifications based on client feedback. I am currently focused on that. Story 30. Nothing really, but sorry I took a 30-minute break. I have to go back underground again with my spade. Story 31. I am currently focused on my project while attending school for my bachelor's degree. I do not have time for dating at the moment, especially since I am paying for my classes out of pocket. Story 32. I have been learning to cook, spending more time working on my Dungeons and Dragons campaign and homebrew. I can play more video games that I enjoy. All of this is better than getting rejected numerous times over trivial matters. Story 33. Now I can fish whenever I want and play video games all winter. These are very important projects. Story 34. I was fortunate to buy a house. It is an old one, but it is livable for my son and me. I am working on improving the house and the gardens while putting in long hours to afford it. Story 35. I'm self-employed and I started my own business. I haven't taken a real vacation in 5 years. Additionally, I am not Christian, so I don't celebrate holidays. I've been busy. Story 36. I have been doing content creation intermittently for almost a decade now. I have had a few notable videos here and there over the years, but nothing I could really capitalize on. However, I feel that through this hobby and job, I have really come into my own. Getting comfortable on camera during streaming has helped me gain confidence in being myself. I did not like how I treated my friends when we played games and lost. My way of dealing with it was to yell and blame everything else except myself. This experience made me understand why I was acting that way and taught me coping mechanisms to avoid being unpleasant when I get upset. It has helped me learn many new skills. I have met some truly amazing people from all around the world. One of my best friends lives in the United Kingdom. We only know each other because of a reference from the show Rick and Morty, and because I used to watch old school content from H3, which was featured in the thumbnail for my stream. It is a fun little pastime where I can be as creative as possible, something I cannot do at my job. It is important to enjoy the little things. Story 37. After my marriage ended, I started playing Dark Souls again. If you're already suffering, why not suffer some more? At least I improve each time. Story 38. Like others have said, I am working on myself. The biggest change, though, is that I have prioritized things in life. I would like to try dating again, as I think I am finally ready. However, I am currently realizing a dream by taking paramotor lessons. Getting into the air and flying is my highest priority at the moment. I have focused on losing weight and have lost 45 pounds this year. I finally do not dislike what I see in the mirror, though I still have a way to go before gaining confidence. If something or someone comes my way, I will not say no, but I am not actively seeking until my lessons are complete. Story 39. Medical school. I have dated a few girls in medical school as well, but right now I am single and perfectly happy with that. I do plan on settling down and having children in the future once I am a practicing physician, but that is not really my priority at the moment. Story 40. Fixing the house, managing my debt, and improving myself. No one wants to date someone who is struggling to get it all together on their own. It's an unfortunate reality. Story 41. Since I stopped trying to date, I have been able to create 3 new board games and finalize a drinking game. I have lost over 60 pounds and dropped 6 pant sizes. I have started finishing the books and art pieces I began. Need for Speed Unbound is actually a lot of fun, and I figured out how to create raps in the game. My house is being prepared for upgrades, and my sleep has never been so great and so easy to achieve. Story 42. Level up yourself. Improve your cooking skills, exercise more, and focus on personal goals outside of work, such as starting a business. Spend more time on your hobbies. Mine include backpacking, skiing, golf, and painting. It's beneficial to save both money and time by not going on dates. When I was focused on dating, I was unable to dedicate time to any of these activities. Story 43. No projects, just enjoying some peace and quiet. My time belongs to me alone, and I don't have to explain myself to anyone anymore. It's nice. Story 44. I'm just surviving. I cook, clean, and spend my time distressing from my job. Most of my free time is spent gaming and occasionally searching for items I can resell online for a profit when I want extra cash for a hobby. Some days when I can't sleep, I'll start cleaning, get some exercise walking outside, or begin writing whatever I feel inspired to put down on paper. This can include anything from a biography to a rant, a fantasy story, or song lyrics. Story 45. Do we really? I have not noticed people discussing projects. Rather, they are organizing their time as they see fit. No more, no less. This is acceptable. Not everything needs to have significant consequences or justification to anyone. Story 46. I remember in my early 20s when I made this decision. 3 months later, I was in a relationship, and a month later, I was in another, neither of which I actively pursued. The project was mostly about smoking marijuana, doing arts, and then boxing. It's important to understand that the right support system will accelerate your development as a person, not hinder it. Story 47. I have many hobbies that take up a lot of time, including gardening, modifying my car, yoga, working on my house, and hiking. Working on myself is important. I attend therapy once a week and make sure to stay active and in shape. Although I avoid dating, I occasionally browse the apps looking for potential connections. Story 48. I enjoy working on the Dungeons and Dragons adventures that I write. Trying to date feels like a fool's errand until I can address my weight first. Story 49. My career is focused on retirement and making an impact on the world, improving the lives of those around me. I try my best, and although I fail often, I also succeed frequently. Story 50. I am currently developing a video game on my own. I finally feel like I have enough time to work on my dream project. Story 51. I wouldn't say that dating is a waste, but after being hurt a lot in the past, having been cheated on and experiencing an abusive relationship, I'm not actively trying to date. I am introverted, live in a small city with limited options, and deal with ADHD, depression, and the general stresses of life. I have accounts on a few dating sites and apps, but based on my experience, they haven't been helpful. My main project, besides getting through each day, is trying to be a writer and publish my own book. Story 52. Guitar, becoming a music producer, finishing school, managing finances, and taking care of myself. I found that when I pushed too hard, I had my worst experiences, so I prefer to let things unfold naturally. I am no longer initiating anything. Story 53. I should be working on myself, like many others are mentioning, but I feel like I'm always busy with projects around the house instead. In this day and age, I don't really have the time or energy to even try to date. I'm not opposed to having a partner, but I almost guarantee there isn't a woman who would want to be with me, so it's not really worth the effort anyway. Story 54. Working on a plan for world domination starts by capturing Antarctica and forming a massive army of penguins and polar bears. Story 55. It's funny how my dating life went downhill to the point that I don't even care about it anymore. I just study, work, and work out sometimes, and that's it. Story 56. For me, having found someone, my focus continues to be on myself. Past relationships have taught me that the value of my relationships is often determined by my well-being. Essentially, maintaining my physical appearance to my own standards also supports my mental health. In addition, I concentrate on finishing my book, working on my miniatures, reading, and drawing. Story 57. I own a lake house, so there's always something that needs to be fixed, cleaned, or worked on. I also practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and I am an avid reader. Story 58. Not much. I have my hobbies, but given the current economic situation, I am trying to save enough for my own place since I cannot get approval for a mortgage. Therefore, I am saving to buy outright. Story 59. My career interests include learning how to weld and building a go-kart whenever I have some free time. I have other ideas as well. Story 60. I am exploring ways to turn my musical talent into a career so I can afford to eat and gain weight, which will allow me to work out. Additionally, I need to have 1/4 or more of my teeth removed and replaced, so I am saving for that as well. I am also saving to pay off my student loans from the college I did not finish. Story 61. I am deeply involved in applications for various police departments, coaching a youth paintball team, and visiting my dad at least once a week. I am working a lot, but mostly I am focusing on self-improvement. Given my current situation, I feel that I am not ready for dating and relationships, so I would prefer to wait until I enhance my circumstances and have more to offer before I start dating again. Story 62. I will work with my associates to improve my technical skills, reduce my body fat to 15%, currently at 22%, previously 27% about a year ago, and develop a plan to acquire a Porsche Panamera 4S. Story 63. Mostly home improvement projects include painting several rooms, redoing flooring and cabinets, and building a floor in my attic. I am also studying to be a pilot and practicing the cello. Story 64. I am tired of expending energy on dating. It does not necessarily mean I must always be busy. I enjoy spending my free time reflecting on my desires. If meditation were to be considered a project, then this is my answer. Story 65. My project is about enjoying life and my work because it is awesome, as well as enjoying my hobbies. I was in a relationship a year ago, and it was great. I loved every bit of it, but sadly, things came to an end. However, it lifted a lot of weight off my shoulders, and I am now able to enjoy things I couldn't do before. Dating can wait. Story 66. I am pursuing my bachelor's degree, exercising, attending therapy for my mental health, and learning how to day and swing trade. I would like to find more activities to stay busy since I am not working right now. Story 67. Lose 20 pounds. Improve my second language. Enhance my wardrobe by learning to dress better for my early 40s. Send out my novel and short stories. Achieve greater financial stability. Reduce alcohol consumption or quit entirely. Maintain friendships more effectively. I believe these goals are sensible and attainable. While they won't make me perfect in the eyes of others, I am pursuing them for my own personal growth and self-respect. Story 68. My biggest project is being drama and stress-free with no women around. Actually, my ex is somewhat of a friend with benefits that I see occasionally. I have also picked up a new hobby, growing cannabis. It's going well and is quite rewarding. That's my current focus. I am always trying to improve, exploring different equipment. It feels like an endless journey. Story 69. I recently got divorced and am not trying to date right now. I have a 1977 Suzuki dirt bike that I'm restoring and I'm working on fabricating some new headers for my 1993 Blazer. I am building a garage and warehouse on my property so I can stop renting one, and I have a lot of Legos. Story 70. I am not currently trying to date. Rather, I am taking a multi-month hiatus between conducting a job search, assisting my mom with medical appointments and home repairs, and working on some home improvement projects of my own. I do not have time. Story 71. I am writing a short story and programming software. Granted, I spend the majority of my time doing anything other than those activities while telling everyone that I am working. 7% is spent feeling overwhelmed by my workload, and 3% is spent actually working. Story 72. I'm trying to earn more money to travel abroad and support my family overseas who are struggling financially. Being there changed my priorities. Initially, my focus was on dating and finding love, but experiencing joy in a new country and seeing unfamiliar things has broadened my perspective. I encourage everyone to take a little adventure outside of their comfort zone. It might help in coping with our everyday problems. Story 73. When I was single by choice after my past relationships, I focused heavily on myself. I enjoyed going to the gym, hiking, and traveling abroad. I also completed several physical projects, such as renovating my bathroom and kitchen with the help of a contractor, building a shed from scratch, and extending my porch into a wraparound style. Additionally, I renovated a few rooms, read more books, learned Italian, and refined my Spanish. I also made time to play my backlog of video games. Story 74. I just bought a 1981 Honda C70. The battery arrives tomorrow. I managed to free the throttle cable tonight, and I likely need a carburetor rebuild kit for it. Then we will see if it runs. Story 75. Rehabbing a house, building go-karts, golf carts, and working on Jeeps. Basically whatever I want, and it is wonderful. Story 76. I am currently busy, but in a few weeks, I will return to the wood shop to try out some mid-century furniture plans. Story 77. I recently released a novel through a small publishing company, so I have to handle some of the promotional work myself, even though I am not very knowledgeable about it. I post on social media, send out press releases, and contact local bookstores and weekend event organizers about setting up future book signings. I also plan to look for an agent to help get my next book placed with a larger publisher or to explore interest in screenwrites. Additionally, I spend time assisting my 19-year-old niece with her resume, studying for a vocational license she needs, and simply enjoying each other's company. Story 78. I'm trying to date, but no one agrees, so I keep myself busy with the following activities. I have set goals for myself. I want to read 50 books this year. I read 37 last year, and I'm currently on my 30th book. I golf every day that I have off from work, usually playing 36 holes on the weekends. My goal is to break my all-time low score of 83 this summer. I go to the gym every night after work and strive to be in better shape each day. I have reached multiple personal fitness goals and am currently working on a few more, though I feel that it is challenging at 49 years of age. I also plan to sell my house and move into a property with a small yard. My current house is small, so I'm looking for something with similar square footage. I do not have a desire to do yard work. There are other things I would like to pursue, but there aren't enough hours in the day. So yes, I would like to date, but I hope she enjoys being as active as I am, while also appreciating quiet nights in. Story 79. I am focusing on personal development, career, health, and hobbies. I strive to be independent and find happiness within myself. Story 80. It does not matter what the project is. The return on investment you will receive is almost always guaranteed to be more than what you would gain from investing your time and money in an individual. Story 81. Gaming, working, and going back to college. I swore off the applications years ago after several negative experiences. I've approached a couple of women in the last year and received respectful rejections. So, I'm relatively happy anyway, and I refuse to lower my standards. Story 82. My current project is Diablo 4 Season 4. After this project is finished, I will probably go back to my Helldivers 2 project. After that, hopefully, it will be the new Assassin's Creed set in Japan. Story 83. Fixing my boat, 2 motorcycles I bought to sell, selling a bicycle, selling a car, and staining the coffee table and end tables I made. The list goes on. Story 84. I bought a house at the end of last year, so I have plenty of decorating and do-it-yourself tasks to keep me busy. I also started going to the gym recently and am trying to expand my cooking repertoire. Additionally, I have been trying to get back into reading. I let it slip a few years ago and missed it a lot. It has been enjoyable diving back in. I joined a book club and that has been a lot of fun. Story 85. I am getting a better job, a place to live, and I just got a car from this century while saving money. I am organizing my life, I suppose, and I want to find time to see my friends. Story 86. I am working on a homebrew Starfinder campaign, as well as on random stories I write from time to time. Story 87. I just started a new job which takes a lot of my time, but I love it because I am essentially my own boss. I have also been going to the gym 3 to 4 times a week and spending time after hours chatting with people and helping out. I picked up the piano last year and am starting to get good enough that I have some favorite pieces. I am currently working on one that I enjoy. Additionally, I learned to cook over the last year and I really enjoy it. I managed to lose 20 pounds in the first half of the year, and now I am shopping for a new wardrobe. Other than dating, life is good. Story 88. I am 60 years old, so my dating days would be over even if I didn't have the social challenges I face. I spend my time working, writing, and drawing. I have created a small multilingual publishing project consisting of one book. However, it is available online worldwide in 6 languages, thanks to the expertise of my fantastic editor. I am currently writing a much longer novel and hope to have a first draft completed by the end of summer. Last week, I created version 4 of an animatic for a book trailer to promote my book. As I work on the camera movements, I will create better artwork for it, ultimately resulting in a short segment of limited animation that I can share as a video. I even have voice talent lined up. Story 89. My next photo shoot, adventure, and trip allows me to be where I want to be and when, without distractions or other responsibilities. I wish I had started sooner. Story 90. I have a wide range of hobbies and an insatiable curiosity to learn and master new skills. I wish I had several lifetimes, as even with all the time I spend on my hobbies, I won't be able to do and learn even a small fraction of everything that interests me. Story 91. I have always been passionate about horror, so I am working on bringing some of those ideas into a book. I am also working on a music EP, as well as the artwork for it. Story 92. I am working on selling all my belongings and aiming to make 100,000 before I turn 40, and then 1 million before I turn 45. Story 93. I am focused on working out, saving, and keeping negativity and drama at bay. I am spending time with my parents while they are still alive and enjoying moments with my sister and niece, who will be starting college soon. My main focus is on my long-term goals, including saving for my own future home and retirement. I prioritize my own interests and engage with those who reciprocate or appreciate my efforts. Story 94. I bought a house a year ago. It is an old house that requires a lot of renovations. I enjoy playing basketball and swimming. I am 21 years old and have never had a girlfriend. Life can feel a bit lonely, but I have grown accustomed to it. Story 95. Usually, motorcycle trips or building something can be a way to find balance. It's a feast versus famine situation. When you are seriously dating, it feels like there is no time for yourself. When you are single, you sometimes have more time than you want. A happy medium would be somewhere in between. It's not that I want to spend excessive time on projects. It's simply nice not to have someone who always seems to have an opinion on how each hour should be spent. Story 96. I find many things interesting. This spring, I completed my bikepacking bike build. Occasionally, I engage in art projects because I enjoy drawing and painting. I also like to tweak the interior of my apartment, update my appearance and wardrobe, or take on new hobbies and challenges within my existing interests. There are so many more fulfilling activities than trying to connect with unfriendly people. Those who are conventionally attractive can pursue relationships, as they are often desired. Story 97. I am building a doom metal rig. Amplifier heads are too expensive, so I am looking for good preamp clones right now. Story 98. Making money and saving so I can live more stress-free. I also do not have much free time, aside from occasional days, because my elderly mother is in the early stages of Alzheimer's and has severe heart conditions. It is enough to take over from what in-home nursing is available for her. Aside from that, ideally, I want to build a foundation to start my own health practice soon. It is not that I do not want to try dating. It's just that the last 3 times I tried were quite discouraging and miserable. Being cheated on by a fiancé really put me off, and I have reached a point where my standard is zero tolerance for promiscuous individuals or liars. Loyalty is paramount, and finding either in a sea of people who expect you to have luxury cars and mansions while contributing nothing to a partnership has started to become clear to me. There are good people, do not get me wrong. However, entering the dating scene is a bit like trying to see the grass beyond the forest. Where I live, the expectations from many people can be quite unreasonable. Story 99. video games, and chatting with online strangers to explain why they are wrong about topics I barely understand. Story 100. I have maintenance work around the house and hobbies. At home, cooking and gardening are my main activities. Since I manage them for my family, even cleaning requires a significant amount of effort. Regarding my hobbies, my Dungeons and Dragons group meets regularly, and I do some drawing for that. I also dabble in woodworking, amateur metalworking, and 3D printing. My proudest creation is a pair of metal gauntlets I made from scratch for a costume. Story 101. I never really dated because I felt I wasn't supposed to. I am working on improving myself and my surroundings first to avoid having a miserable existence like my parents did. Story 102. College is stressful enough as it is. I don't know how I would fit a relationship in without neglecting one or the other. It's overwhelming. Story 103. I started going to the gym more consistently. I know it may seem cliché, but I enjoy it. I returned to music and focused on improving my musicianship and technique. I also began taking a few Spanish classes, as you never know when that could come in handy. Additionally, I am pursuing several certification courses related to my degree. Story 104. I started taking my diet more seriously and have been lifting weights for the past few months. I'm beginning to see progress and people are making comments. I've noticed that women are being more flirtatious as well. Story 105. I spend time with my 2 children. I work full-time. I enjoy playing computer games and practicing my bladesmithing. I also appreciate my alone time, including gardening and housework. All of these activities contribute to my lack of time and energy for dating. Story 106. Putting on muscle mass, mastering a guitar piece that I want to record and publish, preparing for my first boxing match, and establishing myself professionally. Story 107. I am currently doing theater while also trying to find employment. I am studying to obtain my driver's license. I would not mind being in a relationship if the opportunity arises, but right now, it is not the most important thing on my agenda. Story 108. Recently, I took bartending classes. I also take mixed martial arts classes. Next, I plan to take either dance classes or surfing classes. Surfing interests me, and I want to improve my dancing skills after a girl I danced with at a club mentioned I needed improvement. It might sound like I'm doing it to attract girls, but I want to become the kind of person who stands out. They often pursue us, and I want to focus on self-improvement. Additionally, I play the piano and enjoy reading. Story 109. Besides work, I mostly focus on myself. I own my business, which takes up a lot of my time. However, after 6 p.m., I spend my time on technology-related tasks around the house with my dog, reading, and researching. I am fairly content in life with only a few close friends, so I don't feel the need to date. The only time I think about it is when I'm traveling. Meeting someone in a different country can be exciting and fun, but that's about it. When I return, I take a day off for mental health, and then life starts again. Story 110. Not worth the hassle. Hitting trails on my mountain bike and working on my other hobbies is far more rewarding and overall cheaper. Story 111. Going to the gym is my passion. I have attention deficit disorder, so the dopamine it provides is very addictive. Additionally, I struggle with video game addiction, which I am actively working on. It's more about not knowing how to fill my time outside of the gym. Story 112. Well, it depends on how you define not trying to date. I am open to dating and keep an eye out, but I have deleted dating apps now because they are genuinely not only a waste of time, but also actively a drain on mental health. So, I am not going on any dates and doubt I will in the near future, not because I don't want to, but because I just can't. When I was on dating apps, therefore trying, I wasn't going on any dates either, so there is really no difference in my actual schedule. But to answer your question, I suppose I spend the time I would spend with a woman working on my fitness, not only in the gym but also in the kitchen, as cooking takes as much time and effort as the gym does, or practicing playing my bass guitar. Story 113. I could say learning 5 different languages, but I would still prioritize that over a girl, to be honest. Story 114. I am dating my girlfriend, but I just started a project to create a workbench using the 80-20 rule, and I plan to build model planes. Story 115. My clinical notes. I am compiling the most common diseases, conditions, and procedures in every branch of medicine. Additionally, I am noting the most prevalent diseases, conditions, and procedures in general practice. I am taking notes by hand using a fountain pen. An objective is to color code my notes, matching the ink color with the notebook color that corresponds to the medical branch: red for cardiology, green for gastroenterology, Bordeaux for obstetrics and gynecology, etc. If nothing else, it keeps me distracted. When I am finished, I will create presentations of my notes and share them with fellow doctors. Story 116. Honestly, I don't feel any need for projects as relationship substitutes. I'm just living my life. I get up, do my job, enjoy the things I like doing, and see friends. I suppose I'm saving for a couple of holidays, but I don't think that counts as a project. You do that regardless of relationship status. Story 117. I'm not opposed to dating, but I'm not actively trying either. I agree with the top comment. I pretty much am the project. I've learned a lot about myself over the past 3 years and continue to do so. My job reinforces my singleness, as I don't have time to socialize like that right now. Story 118. A project that combines elements of the old master painters with fashion photography. I am also writing a miniseries script. Story 119. I am learning English, pursuing my degree, and aspiring to become a teacher to teach foreigners my language. In the future, I plan to start parkour this fall and may move to the United States in about 5 years if I'm lucky. I have important things to focus on during my early years and no time for distractions. Story 120. I am building a business to generate enough income to travel and afford the experiences I desire. I am primarily focusing on my own wants and needs. Story 121. I have 3 motorcycles that need to be finished. One is a complete custom build with extensive fabrication work. Another is an engine rebuild to fix a broken crankshaft. The last one is a simple chop and bob with some minor fabrication needed. My pickup's engine is on the stand for a full rebuild, currently waiting on parts. Additionally, my camping and fishing 4-wheel drive SUV has been awaiting a manual transmission swap for a year. Story 122. Mostly playing with Lego or hanging out with real-life friends who don't mind if I spend an evening playing video games. I plan to play sports on the weekends. My social life has greatly improved since I stopped trying to engage in the traditional dating system. This has also allowed me to focus on what matters concerning my children and co-parenting with my ex-wife. Story 123. I'm single and not dating or on any dating apps, but I have a Ukrainian friend with benefits who comes over weekly or bi-weekly if our schedules align. I am working on my business and have been self-employed for nearly 4 years since COVID-19. I focus on my fitness by going to the gym 5 to 6 days a week and maintaining healthy eating habits. I also invest in stocks and cryptocurrency and am learning Spanish. It all comes down to improving my financial situation, building muscle, and getting lean. I have a lot of experience with women, and I realize now that I need a partner who is a 9 out of 10 to feel comfortable with marriage and kids. To attract that caliber of woman, I needed to level myself up a bit. I'm almost there, and I appreciate the support. I will never settle. Story 124. Not single, but married and bored, looking for projects. I have built an impressive playground in my backyard for my son and created a koi pond with a waterfall. I plan to build a pergola soon. All my projects are enjoyable and interesting. I am also trying to get into woodworking to possibly build a shelf in the closet. Story 125. Not single, but when it was basically the same things I was working on then as I am now. My faith, myself, health, wealth, hobbies, family, and friends. Then there is the random big project I am working on at that specific time, such as wanting to build something, learn electronics better, or train for a sport or fight. Honestly, being in a relationship doesn't make a difference. I just have less time to pursue these interests and someone else to consider. Story 126. I started reading for the first time in a long while. I read on my train ride to work. I feel like it has a positive effect on me, but I will note that I'm reading a self-improvement book. Story 127. Weightlifting, finding a free yoga class nearby, raising my dog, therapy, working through my game backlog, playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, reading several books I've intended to read, and I have a goal to learn how to do a handstand before the end of the year, and I'm improving. Therefore, I can pursue whatever I want. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.